One thing's remained during those periods, that Africa youth are the cornerstone of a sustainable and prospective future. Greenpreneurship as well, led by African vibrant youth, play a critical role in transforming local economy toward greener, more sustainable development, even as economic and social challenges persist. We know that by 2050, African youth population is expected to reach 850 million person as well. As employment rate peak, many young people are turning to entrepreneurship as a pathway to employment. With the right technical and financial support, as well as an embedding environment, we all know that the African greenpreneur have the potential to strengthen their resilience in this unpredictable world as well. Today's session will bring together a wide range of participants, representatives from the GGI member states, partner organizations, young leaders as well, NGOs, investors, and technology innovators. All of us are united by a shared vision of empowering African youth entrepreneurship. Our esteemed presenters and panelists will share key insight from innovative initiatives that have been shaping green growth and entrepreneurship in Africa, with a particular focus on Senegal, Ethiopia, and Cote d'Ivoire. Once again, I extend my sincere gratitude to all of you for bringing here today. We look forward to engaging in a meaningful discussion and shedding light on the important work being done in this region. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fofana, for those insightful remarks that are leading us to these incredible, interesting topics for the youth of Africa. Now, in this session, we will move into our country presentation and technical presentation, where each of the panelists will have 8 minutes to share key takeaways from ongoing projects in Africa on green growth and entrepreneurship. For the first presentation, I would like to invite Mrs. Asana Magaji Alio, the country representative for Senegal at GGI. Ms. Magaji Alio is passionate about African economic development and has an extensive experience in international affairs, agriculture, and development. She will share the lessons learned and areas of growth and adjustment engaging youth entrepreneurship in uncertain climates in Senegal, where she's leading the activity. Asana, over to you.
Thank you very much, Olola. Welcome, participants, colleagues, and all stakeholders from around the world. Thank you for joining us and granting us an opportunity to share some of the work that we're working on in Senegal with the entrepreneurship sector. Next slide, please. The slide is not moving on my side.
Can we have support on the slides?
Right. Maybe as we wait, I can maybe start giving a bit more context.
I think it's loading.
In Senegal, we've been working with private sector, as well as various entrepreneurs in the market that are really keen to gain access to green financing. Understanding these challenges, there's a huge informal market with great potential of entrepreneurs that are eager to get support, whether it's financially or incubation. Today from Senegal joining us, we will have Haske Ventures, a venture fund that supports greatly the incubation from the development phase to the implementation, from startups to existing businesses, while also leveraging additional investment funds to diversify access to resources for different entrepreneurs. And also on one of our investment and also agriculture projects, we have also what we called, they previously were known as the Syngenta Foundation, and now they will be joining us to provide us with a bit more information on their evolution, their support for entrepreneurs in the private sector and on the ground, but most importantly, the impact they've seen, how this support has enabled the creation of green jobs. So while leveraging those experiences from those two institutions, we will start with the table of contents is just focusing on what's the agenda for us, just a quick summary and progress, and what are some of the lessons we've learned on the existing project that we worked on, the waste management as well in terms of the entrepreneurial in that sector, and also a quick closing discussion. Next slide, please. We are currently working on green entrepreneurs, as I mentioned, with private sector and public sector and local financial institutions such as local banks. While the goal of this is to enhance economic resilience in Senegal, to promote climate and mitigation efforts, and to support green entrepreneurs while leveraging green job creation. Some of the challenges we are facing currently when we're trying to support and implement these projects is that there's a barrier for access to finance, which is very evident in Senegal as well as the continent. There's a high demand of access to green projects, but the business financing aspect, it's still a challenge. Lack of economic diversification and preparation to access those individual finances, and also even the opportunity to be incubated, to be supported. And there's also climate vulnerability, which impacts entrepreneurs in the various sectors to enable them to be resilient and to be sustainable. And some of the lessons learned is that there's significant demand from what we've been doing on the market for the Greenpreneurs program, and there's a widespread of interest. However, sustainable fundraising and management is still a challenge, and also collaboration with local and communities and bringing them together has also been a lessons learned for us through some of the challenges and opportunities. Next slide, please. So our current project that's ongoing, supporting green entrepreneurship in Senegal, is a project that has been funded by the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs from the government of Korea, with GGGI, with Haske Ventures and Ignite. And from that, it's in the north of Senegal, covering the establishment of 3 greenhouses to enable horticulture as a value added to rice production in the north of Senegal. Next slide, please. So some of the objectives overall in terms of expected outcomes of the project is to increase agricultural productivity and climate resilience for rice and vegetable value chains, mainly in the rural area for food insecurity, targeting the women and youth. Where for outcomes, we're aiming to achieve 3 main outcomes, which is resilience for smallholder and rice vegetable farmers. The second one is access to quality inputs, equipment, and financial services. And the third one is green employment opportunities to enable for youth, and digital agripreneurs are to be created in that area for sustainability. Next slide, please. So for the current achievements so far, we've been able to implement and build 3 greenhouses. A greenhouse with irrigated systems is a drip irrigation, which will allow a total of 1,026 beneficiaries and stakeholders. And as of September, 217 of these beneficiaries received capacity building in preparation to begin using those greenhouse facilities. But most importantly, we estimated that within 3 to 4 months, considering the rainy season, we are also integrating a farmers hub, which will allow the farmers to network, to build across the 3 and connect between the 3 greenhouses in the 3 different areas, or I will say in 3 different zones, to connect, leverage, and bring their markets, their products, or their produce that they grow, access to market while leveraging the utilization of technology. Next slide, please. As you can see, the greenhouses when we initially started and the training, this is just some of the training of the beneficiaries and an image of the completed greenhouses. Next slide, please. As we progress, we've had a lot of lessons learned. We did a few hackathons to allow the entrepreneurs to submit their proposals and their interest to be supported to gain access to climate finance and also incubation. We were expecting about an average 100 to 200 submissions. We received almost 400. And here you can see the process was long, from the 400 until the selection to a much more of about 10 main enterprises that were selected. Next slide, please. What we did for the hackathon, 10 out of the 20 teams were retained, and then grants were provided to 5 teams. The incubation and the seed funding were provided, a networking and membership opportunity to work closely in the incubation center, and also preparing them to access to how do you pitch, how do you provide the business model, and to ensure that the CapEx and the OpEx of the business models are sustainable and that they're revenue driven. We did a professional microloan assessment of all the businesses that were there. Regular reviews and repayment options were also taught in terms of financial management, reputation in terms of capacity for capital, and access to criterion to enable agricultural awareness and also development. Next, please. So we did the capacity building trainings, CSA and value chain, in terms of cropping assessment, so they can have access to good quality seeds and fertilizers to enable them to have high quality products at the end of the yield of their season. Community networking was fundamental. We structured those in rural areas with community leaders who now are owners of the greenhouses. And within Dakar, we mobilized the entire country to identify the entrepreneurs that were selected from the 400. So there was not limited on the hackathon. The hackathon was a national call for submission. And overall, we're fostering about 20 innovative green solutions, supporting startups and creating about 120 direct to 240 indirect green jobs. Next slide, please. So to progress, some of the lessons learned is that we've overlooked the fact that there's a high demand for the Greenpreneurs program because the informal market has very pertinent entrepreneurs. Unfortunate that we were unable to select all of them, but they had fundamental resources and technologies that are currently working nationally. There's a necessity for strong incubation, and if they receive a lot of incubation and support, a lot out of a 400, I believe many more can come out as champions of green growth that can enable the creation of green jobs. And if they're structured well, they will be able to manage their resources, have access to additional capital, and most importantly, increase access to finance, whether it's at the national level or international level. Next slide, please. So when we're looking at waste management is another area where we quickly covered entrepreneurs to support them to gain access to financing. We promoted citywide inclusive sanitation, where we were focusing on access to finance to build public toilets. We supported what we call the green secondary cities to access to electronic e-waste management with Sénégal Numérique to help them develop business models that are currently helping them generate additional revenues, while also increasing their access to market. And the third is the implementation of a financing mechanism with financial institutions where they can see the value added of climate finance, green financing in the waste and sanitation sector. Next slide, please. So in terms of green entrepreneurship overall, some of the lessons we've learned is that building access to sanitation was not as attractive as the sector for agriculture. The green entrepreneurs were very, I would say, enthusiastic. The number of submissions were high. And if we were to really take the time to gain and increase access, I believe that this informal market can really benefit from it. So as you can see here, there's an entrepreneur who benefited from some resources. We did a blended finance model with a local bank called Aura Bank, which enabled them to gain access to the resources with a 50% funding from the Gates Foundation and also the local bank to build access to public toilets. And these toilets are paying. So we will be established in secondary cities where markets, so that access to adequate sanitation would be leveraged for all. And for Senegal, I would say that the lessons learned is that the market is definitely there. Now, working with the financial institutions to increase their, I would say, their viewpoint and also the value added of having access to green entrepreneurship and for them to see it as a revenue stream and as a lucrative business is something still to be worked. but I will definitely concur that the green job creation is there, the opportunity is there, and there is a really strong, thriving market for green entrepreneurship while leveraging the network of green entrepreneurship in this sector in Senegal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Asana, for this very insightful presentation where we've seen the impact on the youth of Senegal and the different sectors that GGI has been promoting with the support of the different donors. Now, in order to continue the discussion, I would like to call on Min Hong Na. Min Hong is Monitoring Evaluation Officer at the GGI Côte d'Ivoire office. He's been playing a key role in driving youth economic empowerment through green entrepreneurship and digital transformation. He will discuss technology and digital transformation as a facilitator for entrepreneurship, presenting the program that has been developed for the Côte d'Ivoire youth. Min Hong, the floor is yours. Please, I'd like to remind also that the time for presentation is strictly 8 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Min Hong Na. I'm the Monitoring and Evaluation Officer at GGI Côte d'Ivoire office. Today, I'm here to present our project focusing on technology and digital transformation as a facilitator for green entrepreneurship. Next slide, please. Our project is based in Côte d'Ivoire with the primary goal of empowering youth through green entrepreneurship and digital transformation. The project area includes Abidjan, Grand Bassam, San Pedro, Yamoussoukro, Mankorgo, and Bundoukou. And the budget for this project is $9.15 million approximately, with significant support of 90% coming from Korea International Cooperation Agency, along with the GGI co-financing 6% and the Ivorian government co-financing 5%. The project will run for 42 months, starting from May 2024. So we are currently in the initiation phase where we are recruiting the team, finalizing partnership agreements, and conducting field visits to prepare for the kickoff of this important project. Our aim is to directly impact approximately 45,000 beneficiaries. We begin the project by establishing 35 digital green centers, including 20 schools, 6 universities, and 9 mairies, which is a city hall. Next slide, please. The main goal of this project is to enhance youth access to digital tools and increase their participation in the economy. Our objectives include boosting digital literacy and supporting green entrepreneurship through the establishment of 35 digital green centers and comprehensive training programs for students, trainers, entrepreneurs, and government officials. Next slide, please. To support our goal, we are setting up 35 digital green centers, working with SNBI as our quality assurance and compliance office. And we're also going to procure technical service provider. And these centers will be equipped with ICT equipment, provide with net renovation services and maintenance support as well of the ICT equipment. This is ICT rollout and infrastructure rollout plan for our project. Next slide, please. Once we've established the ICT infrastructure, we'll roll out training program designed for students from 20 schools and 6 universities across Côte d'Ivoire. These programs aim to equip over 33,000 students with fundamental IT skills, which include proficiency in Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, with each training module lasting 12 hours. Alongside IT skills, students will also participate in our Green Practice program, where they will learn critical concepts in sustainability. Topic includes climate change, energy conservation, waste reduction, and sustainable transportation. By educating the next generation, we aim to instill both intellectual literacy and environmental responsibility among Côte d'Ivoirians. Next slide, please. For university students, we are introducing a more advanced IT academic program that blends higher level IT skills with the green business fundamental. This program will run across 15 these green centers with the 6 university and 9 mairies, reaching 900 students. The ICT component include hands-on training in UI UX design, app development courses. On the green business fundamental, On the green business fundamental, students will take part in sessions introducing them to the science and engineering behind the green technology and helping them to understand how this innovation can be leveraged for sustainable business solutions. Through this program, we aim to create a pipeline of young professionals skilled in both technology and green entrepreneurship, positioning them to become leaders in sustainable business ventures. Next slide, please. So for aspiring entrepreneurs, we have designed a Greenpreneur incubation program, which focuses on nurturing 675 Greenpreneurs over 12 weeks. Each Greenpreneur will dedicate 6 or 8 hours per week to the program, which includes a mix of interactive workshops, online resources, assignments, and personalized one-on-one coaching sessions. Greenpreneur will also have access to experienced mentors, receiving at least 3 hours of direct mentoring from professionals in their field. Networking is another critical component, with opportunities for Greenpreneurs to connect with peers, potential partners, and investors at both industry-specific and virtual mentoring events. The combination of this program is a pitch competition where Greenpreneurs will present their business models to secure funding and support. Winners will receive seed capital and the chance to participate in overseas study tour to further their development. Next slide, please. Critical to our success is the use of LMS system, learning management system, e-learning platform to manage the courses, communication, collaboration among instructors and learners across the 35 of these green centers. GGI will oversee the LMS with partners helping manage the training programs. This LMS system will allow us to perform efficient and simultaneous work of collaborations, progress checking and reporting of different 35 centers located across the whole country. Next slide, please. To ensure sustainability, GGI Greenpreneur Fund will provide up to $40,000 in seed capital to winners of pitch competitions. The project will also culminate in Green Business Forum, showcasing success stories, innovations in green entrepreneurship. Next slide, please. Also, we are trying to build a capacity within the Ivorian government for the digital green ecosystem. We established the Green Leadership Academy, a 10-week program for visual academics and industry leaders. So this can be a network of green leaders in Côte d'Ivoire. We'll also organize, as mentioned, overseas study tours where the winners of the Greenpreneurs, along with officials going abroad and providing them with first-hand experience in advanced countries in terms of digital green industries. We plan to share the knowledge products to promote green business principles and solutions as well. Next slide, please. Overall, as you can see here, the project will directly benefit around 45,000 people, including students, trainers, entrepreneur teachers, university staffs, and government officials. The reach of this project spans multiple sectors, you can see here, ensuring widespread impact on digital transformation and green entrepreneurship in Côte d'Ivoire. Next slide, please. So that would be a wrap-up of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. We hope to collaborate with many of you on future initiatives. So you can follow our progress and activities through our social media channels and our website.
Thank you so much, Min Hong, for sharing another example of initiative, which this time promotes technology and digital transformation to support entrepreneurship for youth in Africa. So in the interest of time now, I would like to please call my next speaker, Daniel Obonya, who's the country representative for Ethiopia at GDGI. Daniel oversees country program management and engagement with government and development partners. He will talk about how mitigating conflict and fragility impacts entrepreneurship. Please, Daniel, over to you.
Thank you, Lola, for the time. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The topic that we are taking up is really important, and I'm going to take you through a brief introduction when we look at conflict and fragility and how it impacts entrepreneurship. We look at what we do globally, what we are doing in the continent of Africa, and I will zoom in a little bit more on what we have been doing in Ethiopia. And I will start by saying, when you have conflict, there is always that challenge of losing your peace. And what it means for an entrepreneurship or an entrepreneur is that you are going to lose focus. You will not have that adaptability or flexibility to be composed to do your business. And from what you can see on the slide here, when there is a bit of disagreement, hostility, which can arise from either political, ethnic, or social tensions, that affects all of us, but even more for entrepreneurs. If you also live in a society that is vulnerable to collapse due to weak institutions, economic instability, or social unrest, that also negatively impacts entrepreneurs. And specific ways this could be of negative impact could be by disrupting the market, creating uncertainty, loss of resources. This could also, in regards to fragility, hinder access to infrastructure or finance or markets. And how do you mitigate this? Of course, strengthening institutions by regulations, policies, or promoting inclusive economic policies, making sure that there is fairness, diversity when it comes to development. But most importantly, building capacity and training, because if you don't build capacity or train people, they wouldn't have the resilience to withstand a conflict situation or even a fragile environment. And government institutions are meant to be supportive by bringing the needed infrastructure, creating the enablers, but most importantly, making sure that a cohesive society or environment is made available for collaborative efforts. Next slide. If we look into it more closely when it comes to how we run programs or projects, where there are inter-community conflicts or insecurity, or even infrastructure that is needed for you to do your business, gets destroyed or broken, this increases transaction cost. For example, if there are securities that makes it difficult for you to travel by road to move your goods and services, the alternative will be to fly your goods, and that will double or triple the cost of doing business. And the result of this is that it diminishes productivity. It increases the constraints underlying entrepreneurial decision, and it hinders international entrepreneurship. So in a nutshell, conflict or fragility is not good for business. And how do we bring solutions to this? Governments, development partners, donors all have a role to play to create the enabling environment or avenues to prevent conflict, what we say or what we call do no harm, or even be part of providing tangible and engaging solutions when there are conflicts. And this could also be by facilitating post-conflict recovery, by assisting local entrepreneurs, particularly small businesses, in adjusting or even coping with conflict and the legacies of conflict. Next slide, please. GGG at the global level looks at mitigating conflict and fragility from different approaches, but the important thing is that these approaches or tools and systems lead to the same target or the same goal. We apply tailored conflict-sensitive approaches in our project design, in our project implementation, monitoring, and evaluation. We also do participate or actively engage different institutions. For example, there are engagement with the Peace Forest Initiative, with the Korean Forest Initiative as an institutional member of the Environmental Peace Building Association, MPACS. We also do systematic and give systematic and deliberate attention to green growth when it comes to mainstreaming conflict sensitivity and peace building in our work. And this is part of the SDG 16, which is building peace and solid institutions. And we do have our strategies, all promoting cohesive society and every other aspect that will lead to peace. At the African region, there are quite a lot of work that is ongoing. We do have a white paper that we are iterating, but also there are materials that have been out there, for example, in sustainable management and use of natural resources for peace and security in East Africa. We are promoting green, resilient, and inclusive local development with focus on climate-smart agriculture, restoration of degraded forest, and rangeland ecosystems. And the whole idea behind this work we do at the continental level is to establish or strengthen conflict prevention, conflict mitigation, and peace building system in the region, because all our projects and programs are geared towards supporting people's livelihood. Next, please. In Ethiopia, we have a lot of projects that are being implemented on the ground with communities, cooperative, community-based organizations, government at the federal, but also at the subnational level. And what this means is that we utilize a conflict responsive approach in our project, and we are being supported by Peace Nexus Foundation, the institution that provides us with advisory support. Some good examples of activities that we are working on the ground, that the outcomes or the end goal will be to prevent conflict, especially for businesses or entrepreneurs. One of them is fostering food security to prevent conflict and ensure stability. Agroforestry for people, peace and prosperity in the southern Ethiopia. We do have a project on conservation and sustainable lands management of forested landscape in southwestern Ethiopia, and the Ethiopia Climate Resilient Forest and Landscape Restoration Program that we are doing in Oromia and Sidama region. All these projects are working with the people, with the communities, and the activities that we are rendering do go towards ensuring that the businesses that we are building, the entrepreneurship that we are strengthening, whether it be within smallholder farmers or community-based organization or cooperatives, that they are resilient even to withstand times of uncertainty. Next.
Daniel, just to let you know, you have 1 minute left.
Yes.
Thank you.
Major activities, as you can see in the boxes, are all being linked together through capacity building. And these activities exit with entrepreneurship training, development of business models, and market linkages. Next. In a nutshell, we have an outcome where our aim is to enhance food security to prevent conflict, but also to contribute to the well-being of the local community. And if we're able to achieve this, we expect increased creativity, innovation, and opportunity, and increased well-being and satisfaction for entrepreneurship. And like I said in the beginning, where there is a peace, there is that opportunity for a business person to have the rest of mind to focus and attend to bettering their livelihood. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniel, again, for a great presentation, bringing in this time the lens of conflict and fragility and ways to promote entrepreneurship. I think we have one last presentation, and I would like please to call our colleague Abdurrahman Diop from Aske Venture. Mr. Abdurrahman Diop is a venture capitalist with extensive experience in business valuation and due diligence for startups. And he will share with us his insight from Aske Venture and the link to the project and the Agri-Hub that we heard from Senegal example. Abdurrahman, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Today, I'm thrilled to present the Climate Smart Agri-Hub currently being implemented by Aske Ventures in partnership with the Global Green Growth Institute. So this initiative is actually designed to drive climate smart agricultural innovation in Senegal and in order to create a sustainable future for our communities. Let's talk about the objective of this Climate Smart Agri Hub. The program has a twofold missions. The first is to promote climate smart agriculture in Senegal, and second, to strengthen food security by supporting innovative agripreneurs. So this program, this 2-year program, 2024-2025, will focus on incubating and accelerating climate smart agri-ventures with a strong emphasis on self-sufficiency and the inclusion of youth and women. So we are right now aiming to create a robust pipeline of 20 incubated projects and 6 accelerated companies by the end of 2025. So let's move to the next slide, which is about the program structure. So we have structured the program around key stages. The incubation stage, which will support 20 early stage projects that have been selected through a national hackathon, and provide each with $2,000 in terms of prototyping grants. And for the acceleration stage, we will select, or we have already selected 3. So in total, we'll select 6 ventures that will receive up to $50,000 in flexible financing, flexible loan at 0 interest. So throughout the program, we will offer mentoring and business support to guide these ventures towards sustainable growth. Moving to the next slide, diving a little bit about the expected output. So by the end of the program, we expect, as I said, to incubate 20 projects and accelerate 6 of the most promising agribusinesses. The aim is to scale this climate smart solution, enhancing resilience in key agricultural value chain across Senegal. So additionally, we're also targeting to increase, as I said earlier, self-sufficiency in this region, the whole country level, doing this while promoting youth and female entrepreneurship in the agricultural sector. So moving to the next slide, which is about the program participation. So as Asana mentioned earlier, our initial outreach has already been a success. So we have received more than 370 applications from various teams for the incubation stage, almost 4 times our initial target of 100 applications. Notably, 61% of the applicants were male, 39% of them were female, showcasing a solid gender diversity. We also saw a representation from over 9 regions from Senegal, within 67% of the participants based outside Dakar, including areas like Saint-Louis in the north, where Agidia is running a project right now, but also other part of the country, for example, like Diourbel in the center. And this regional spread really highlights the growing interest in agripreneurship in Senegal. Moving to the next slide, which is more around the criteria for eligibility screening for the acceleration program. So given that for this part of the program, we're giving entrepreneurs loan to be reimbursed. So we have built a quite rigorous process. So we evaluate each application based on the venture's alignment with the key impact areas, such as the environmental sustainability, the social impact. We also consider factors like the stability of the business, the growth potential of the business, but also the background of the entrepreneur. So by doing this, we ensure that only ventures with a very strong foundation and clear social benefit move forward in the acceleration program, given that we want to build a quite sustainable facility for these kind of companies. Moving to slide 7, the next slide, which is more around the potential outcome and the impact of the program. So the goal here, what we are in terms of impact, we're expecting, we work by supporting these ventures focus on critical areas such as water conservation or sustainable agriculture. For example, we have selected projects like crumbs or organic fertilizations that aim to enhance soil health and farm productivity. Some of the projects that have been selected really seeks to cut the agricultural costs and paving the way for more resilient and efficient agricultural practices in Senegal. Next slide. In terms of program adaptations and that are based on the learnings, we are also continuously adapting our program based on the participant feedback and the data that we're collecting, right? So moving forward, for example, we will definitely prioritize targeted outreach to attract top-tier talent and expand our sectoral focus. We're also leveraging established network to increase our application pool, and have also a strong focus on technology-driven solution for agriculture, particularly in areas like plantation and irrigation management, where we have seen significant potential for scaling. So just to close here, at Haske, we really believe in the power of climate-smart agribusinesses to transform Senegal and transform the agricultural sector in Senegal. So thank you very much for your attention, and I really look forward to any question you might have about the program and how we can collaborate to drive sustainable growth. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, Abdurrahman. This was a beautiful presentation, again, on the Agri Hub support provided to the entrepreneurs in Senegal. I think we are now at the moment where we are discussing or sharing a few insights to the panelists, but in the interest of time, I would like to request all the participants with specific question to type in the chat the question, and we'll make sure that the question gets delivered to the panelists and the presenters, and we'll respond directly to you. Also, just to note that the presentation will be shared to the participant if you provide with us your email address. Thank you. So now moving on to the last part of the this session with panel discussion. Today we have the pleasure to have with us 4 panelists who will share insights on future direction for development partners active in Africa. And I'm honored to introduce to you first Mr. Matt Hague, who's the executive advisor and lead Sudan catalyzer at the AECF. Matt has over 30 years of experience in improving aid effectiveness and delivering support in fragile context. Next, our panelist is Mrs. Ndejop Nyang, Coordinator, Partnership and Communication Manager at the Senad. And Ndej has extensive experience also in the past with the United Nations system and other regional organizations. Our third panelist to join today is Mrs. Noshin Elahibokus, who's Senior Education Officer at the AFDB, African Development Bank Innovation and Entrepreneurship Lab. Noshin designs and supervises bank-funded projects in human capital development. And last but not least, Mr. Jean-Pierre Busisienge, Communication and Knowledge Sharing Regional Associate at GGGI, where Jean-Pierre is a seasoned communication professional with over 13 years of experience. Thank you for joining us. We will have approximately 20 minutes to discuss this topic. And to dive in, for the first question, I would like to ask each panelist if you can share briefly your perspective. As an investor and development partner, how are you navigating the unprecedented uncertainties, such as political turnover, climate change impact in the landscape, and have these challenges prompted you to adapt your mission? If yes, could you share with us how? I will start, please, with Matt.
Yes, hello everybody, and thanks very much for inviting me along. So AECF is a concessional capital provider, so we provide funding to SMEs and microfinance institutions, usually in early stage areas in agriculture, renewable energy. We've been around for about 15 years, and in the beginning we would invest large amounts of money in large companies. Now we're investing very much more in local companies. So we have a specific focus on women-owned and African-owned owned businesses. And this is principally because when the going gets tough, international companies and bigger companies have the opportunity to leave, right? But local companies don't. So we want to be focusing on those businesses that are going to be sticking around when times get difficult. But this has meant that we've had to really change the way in which we do business ourselves, because these companies, they need a very different range of support. Big companies or international companies mainly need finance, Smaller companies, local companies need finance, but they also need a lot in the way of technical assistance. They need more in the way of advisory support, but they also need us to engage in a different way. We need to do more in terms of understanding how to reach entrepreneurs and business people in specific contexts. One of the issues we're having at the moment in Sudan is that Sudan is also not used to operating in the same way that we're used to seeing business at. So they can't provide information to us that we would normally expect. And we have to change completely the way that we look at these investments, what we expect from them, and how we manage them. Thank you.
Thank you for your initial response. I would like to please call Noshin to provide us with her insight on how to navigate currently in the uncertainties.
Thank you very much, and thank you for being here. Thank you for inviting me, and happy to be here with you today. I see from the previous speakers that we have a lot of synergies between what we do at the African Development Bank and the experiences with Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, Ethiopia, and Husky Ventures. At the African Development Bank, we are constantly adapting our projects and programs to be closer to our clients in order to better understand their needs. We have a strong local presence in 41 out of 54 countries in Africa. We have 5 regional hubs in Tunisia, Ivory Coast, Kenya, Cameroon, and South Africa. And we work very closely with the twin goal of inclusive and green growth in 5 key sectors: Light Up and Power Africa in the energy sector, Feed Africa in agriculture, industrialization of Africa, Integrate Africa, and improving the quality of life of the people of Africa. Some of the greatest challenges that we're facing today, we all know, is the biggest one is the rising youth unemployment among, I would say, all African countries. It started mostly in North Africa with the Arab Spring, and we started seeing how young people cannot find jobs, even if they are well educated, even if they have diplomas. So one of the key actions the bank has taken is to set up a very strong youth and employment program through our Jobs for Youth in Africa strategy, which aims at creating 25 million jobs by 2050. Through this, we have a two-pronged strategy to implement this program. One is to mainstream all youth and employment activities and entrepreneurship development activities in all our projects. Whether it's a project in agriculture, in transport, in infrastructure, we ensure that there is a skills development component to create jobs for youth. There is an entrepreneurship component, and there is a skills development and building capacity for young people in Africa. Because standalone operations, as we used to do before, is not working anymore. Just doing education project, just looking at the education and skills development aspect is not working anymore. Just investing in private sector is not working anymore. So we need to build that bridge between skills development and job creation. So this is essentially what we're really striving to do in our projects. The second point is that we are also looking at green entrepreneurship much more in all our operations, even in our skills development operations. And I'll speak to that a bit later. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nosine. This is very interesting, and we are really at the heart of the topic here, where we are addressing and hearing from your experience on addressing this initiative. I would like to hear also from Mrs. Nyong from the Senegalese Sustainable Agriculture. Please, as an investor and also a development partner, could you please share your insight on the different challenges and how you are adapting your mission and operation?
Thanks for your question. This year is a very challenging year for Senat. The first challenge is our shift from a Swiss philanthropic organization to a local profit-based organization. Senat was set up this year by the local team to continue the great work we've done with Syngenta Foundation, but now with a stronger focus. We focus on the national priorities and we focus on local needs, but we are still building on the Syngenta Foundation legacy. The second challenge, and I think it's a common challenge, it's the vulnerability of smallholder farmers to climate change, and the challenge of youth in employment in agriculture. In our country, we see that agriculture is not very attractive for young people, and because they lack access to quality inputs, they lack access to knowledge, they lack access to finance, to market. And what we are doing in Senate, based on our goal to increase smallholders, farmers' income, and to support them become more resilient. What we are doing now is to we are connecting with partners like GGI or other partner to better address the issue of climate change, and to the integration of climate change, of climate smart resilient agriculture in our agri-services program and in our seed program. We also expanding our partner network to better deliver innovation and the integration of innovation into the agricultural value chain. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is so interesting and enriching to our discussion since we started this panel and session on entrepreneurship. We see how organizations are adapting and how different interests are also navigating the uncertainties, but all in making sure that there is a responses to the challenge at hand. Last, I would like to also hear the perspective of Jean-Pierre as a communication expert. How are you in that spectrum navigating the uncertainties? Thank you.
Thank you, Olora, for the good question. I think my previous speakers have talked about conflicts, access to finance, and the gaps in skills that youth entrepreneurs are facing. And at GGI, we are working with partners to have those addressed. We are mostly doing a lot of work in terms of facilitating knowledge sharing and experience sharing to ensure that the young entrepreneurs learn from their peers, learn from the successful cases that we are seeing in countries, but also can learn from the mistakes that others are doing. And we've also been conducting tailored capacity building programs. We've heard from my colleagues in Cote d'Ivoire and Senegal about the capacity building programs that are ongoing. So facilitating access to skills, facilitating access to knowledge, but also facilitating the exchange of skills and experiences from entrepreneurs. That's one of the areas that's helping the youth to navigate the uncertainties. And also working through collaborative networks. We have been supporting entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, to come together to exchange, to share their knowledge, to share their experience, to share their solutions and learn from each other. We have such networks across Africa. We have one network that's really doing a great work in Rwanda. And we are seeing a lot of support also from our partners in countries, but also supporting the youth to access finance. And we are looking at blended finance solutions to facilitate the youth, the young entrepreneurs, to unlock and access the investment that they need to build and scale their businesses. So typically looking at comprehensive model that addresses all the gaps that my colleagues have been talking about.
Very well. This is actually we're getting to the heart of our topic, and I think it's true how organization needs to readdress and reassess some of the priorities. And I would like to hear a bit more from the Africa Challenge Fund, in your perspective also. Because you're an organization who's fostering economic inclusion by investing in business and to create jobs and sustainable incomes. How are you, in your mandate, preparing African entrepreneurs for uncertainty, more specifically? And as an investor, how do you particularly focus on progress, balancing evaluation, and also, in case you're looking for more social impact?
Yeah, no, thanks for that, and very good questions. We are more and increasingly interested in working with African entrepreneurs because in many cases they're actually born into uncertainty. African entrepreneurs have the social capital within their communities to be able to navigate a lot of things that other businesses can't, right? We often find with African entrepreneurs, they have sort of diverse business interests, which gives them some resilience. If one business doesn't work, then another has more of a chance to do so. They can pivot businesses very quickly. We see a lot of our African business partners being able to move very quickly to exploit new opportunities, but also to change business models very fast when the situation changes. They are usually well embedded into local structures that enables them to raise money quickly. You know, we always talk about companies that are too big for incubators but too small for commercial capital. This sort of missing middle, and yet it's a very dynamic part of the economic environment. Companies and individuals who are connected are able to raise money locally. It may be more expensive, but it's much more flexible in many cases. And I think the last and most important thing about how we see African entrepreneurs is their ability to navigate really complex political and social landscapes to get through areas even in active conflict. And then in terms of, yeah, ACF is designed to change the way systems work, right? We can't invest in every business. So we have to pick a few businesses and hope they get to do things differently, and other people can then copy them, and then systems can change. So a big part of what we're looking at is what is the potential of this business to make some kind of social change. We have a very big gender lens investing approach at the moment, but there are many other different aspects of social change that we see that business is really able to drive. But I think that the secret to all of it is that you're not going to achieve any social change through business if the business goes bankrupt, right? So the first thing we really want to look at is it a good business? It's easier to take a good business and introduce aspects of social inclusion, gender equality, whatever, than take an organization that does those social things well, but is otherwise not making a lot of money and is not a great business. It's also really important that we don't want to be speaking to grantpreneurs or some of these donor darlings. I'm sure you've heard of all these kind of businesses that give a very good narrative, right? But they're not really businesses that come from the societies and where we're really trying to make change, right? So a lot of the work that we do is, yes, we find a good business, but then we have to work very closely with the business, but with a wider group of stakeholders as well, to get that business to engender change, right? So change, including women, isn't a thing that can be done alone. It's an all of community activity, and a lot of our work is find a good business and then work with them step by step to make those social changes. Thanks.
Indeed, yeah, and this is to your point, to your last point. It's very collaborative effort that needs to be taken. And from the experience of the AFDB Innovation Entrepreneurship Lab, by actually fostering collaborative ecosystem, what opportunities do you see today for African entrepreneurs to leverage technology, innovation, and how those young entrepreneurs could adapt also to economic and social uncertainty?
Thank you very much. Actually, what I mentioned before about the African Development Bank's Jobs for Youth in Africa program, giving rise to the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Lab in 2019, The whole goal was to strengthen the capacity of enterprise support organizations. I think colleagues before me spoke about how you have to take entrepreneurs from the idea to the market. And there's a long process of, and this is what we find in most African countries when we speak to entrepreneurs, they're missing various pieces of that chain that takes them from idea to market. So either they don't have the adequate skills to develop their business, or they don't have access to finance, or they require mentorship to develop their business plans, or they need the right networks to get to do their business development. So the lab is really, the power of the lab is that networking capacity and bringing entrepreneurs together through all and sort of walking them through all the stages of the startup investment cycle, from seed angle to exit, startups, and various other intermediaries supporting entrepreneurship. To date, the lab contributed to the creation and retention of around 19,000 jobs through various programs, strengthening 195 enterprise support organizations and 104 fund managers across Africa. We provide services on business development services to support youth and women-led enterprises, to give them the necessary skills and knowledge to develop their business. As my colleague said from the Africa Challenge Fund, the importance is to make sure you give them the necessary finance and the necessary tools to make sure their business thrive. If the business doesn't thrive, all the other goals are no longer valid. So the lab operates under 5 pillars. First, we do deep market analysis and networking entrepreneurs and these ESOs. We build the capacity. We provide a knowledge exchange platform where they can meet and connect. We provide financial support for innovative startups. And then we take them through innovation and incubation to promote hardware entrepreneurship and startups using the fourth industrial revolution technologies and other innovative tech.
Excellent. And indeed, this is a very insightful explanation and contribution. We see how your network is established across Africa, and actually looking into fostering greater collaboration. I see that Senad in Senegal is also looking to empower entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs in Senegal in the agriculture sector. Perhaps reflecting on your past initiative, Mrs. Diop, what areas would you successfully target to support youth and female entrepreneurs, specifically in the agriculture sector, probably raising this sector as one of the key flagship to empower additionally youth in this time of uncertainty? And in your opinion, what gaps remain to enhance success and inclusivity?
Thanks for your question. As I said, we are building on Syngenta Foundation legacy and achievement. In Senegal, in 2017, we launched a model, agripreneur services model called Farmers Up. What's a Farmers Up? The Farmers Up is a one-stop shop providing smallholders, farmers access to quality input, access to training, to markets, and to digital tool. And the Farmers Hub is also a field to experiment innovation and introduce new technology, like, for example, solar pumping or smart irrigation. And this initiative was successfully created a job and income opportunity for young people, especially for women. And in 2023, 38 Farmers Hub was created in Senegal, and most of them are managed by young people, and 30% are managed by women. And this Farmers Hub are creating 179 jobs and reaching almost 15,000 farmers. And based on this achievement, we are expanding and upgrading this model with GGI in Senegal through the project Climate Smart Agriculture and Sustainable Value Chain in the northern Senegal to create two more farmers hub and to increase income for young people. And what we are expecting by December 2025, we are expecting to train 700 farmers and in climate smart agriculture. And we also aim to reach 1,500 farmers, and in order to increase their income by 25%. The farmers up model is a sustainable and a sustainable model. And we see that we empower youth to access to cost effective agriculture technologies, practices, services, as well as market opportunities. And the challenge now is to build a strong partnership to scale up this successful initiative, which is a sustainable model to respond to youth employment and entrepreneurship in agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I see that we are almost over time by a few minutes, but the topic is so interesting, and I think we are really much in the heart of our conversation. And you touched on a point looking at scaling up the initiative, and Matt and Noshin has discussed about a collaborative effort, but also how to leverage the existing infrastructure. I'd like now to call in Jean-Pierre, our regional representative on regional initiative, and to understand a bit more how GDGI is leveraging these lessons learned, yeah? And how additionally technology and global partnership could be used to bridge further resources gap and adapt to the uncertain conditions that we're facing.
Thank you, Aurora. So, as my colleagues have been saying, I think one key important element is to facilitate learning and collaboration. These are really critical elements that GDGI is working on to support these young entrepreneurs, young innovators to come together, learn from each other, but also access tailored programs, incubation program, accelerator programs to kind of build, grow, and scale their businesses, their innovations. And we are seeing initiatives taking shape. We are seeing young entrepreneurs growing, and GDGI is working with governments and partners to kind of put in place and facilitate the young innovators to grow and scale. And in terms of technology, we see it as an enabler in terms of once the young entrepreneurs, innovators have access to technology, they can do really amazing things. They can unlock so many opportunities in agri-innovation, in circular economy, in waste management. And we really are keen to facilitate that area. We have projects and programs that are working on that. One of them has been discussed by my colleague Min Hong, that's working to facilitate ICT skills, digital centers creation in Cote d'Ivoire, but also in other countries we are having that. And I also spoke about facilitating access to finance, because that's really something that's critical. So through innovative financial tools, supporting the youth entrepreneurs to really do financial modeling, identify risks, and manage them, but also strengthen their financial resilience. and that way we are empowering them to build their capacities to manage the businesses, to grow them, but also to go at scale, if I would say it. And through the agripreneur networks, we are ensuring that these young people can access not only the experiences from their peers, but also have partners to accompany them throughout this journey of innovation, of entrepreneurship. And they can have also new perspectives to explore as they grow their businesses. We are having new initiatives coming up that we are exploring with our partners. For instance, if I could mention one in Togo, where we are looking at ways to establish a robust foundation for green entrepreneurship in the agriculture sector. We are working with the government in Togo, and we are targeting mostly, we will be targeting youth and women entrepreneurs, and we will continue the work with the green entrepreneurs to support these green startups in terms of enhancing their entrepreneurship capacities, strengthening ecosystems that facilitate their businesses to flourish, but also enhance investment and access to finance. So kind of looking at the comprehensive ecosystem that facilitates the startups and young enterprise to grow, scale, and flourish. So that's what I could share for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean-Pierre. This is so interesting, indeed, sharing the possible next stage in growing the topic also at larger scale, making sure that there is peer-to-peer support, accelerated access to finance, and we actually have the right partners around the table to continue engaging in that discussion. I think we're almost nearing the end of our session, and this is, in my opinion, calling for an additional continuing conversation, as the time has been very short today. But just to let us wrap up on the conversation from the panel, if each panelist could share one key message for Africa leaders and policymakers, one key message for African youth and entrepreneurs. Please be specific and brief. Matt?
Shall I go first? Yeah, so towards policymakers, I would say set the policy environment, set the regulatory framework, and then get out of the way and let the private sector do their business. And to young African entrepreneurs, I would say get the basic financial literacy training. Get some just so that you know that what you're doing, what you're putting your work into, is actually making money. Thanks.
Excellent. Okay, that's a clear perspective on the environment. Okay, please, Noshin.
Yes, thank you. I would echo Matt's point about to governments and policymakers is to really capitalize on the strength of the private sector in creating jobs and developing entrepreneurship. Yes, we do need the government to create strong policies and structures and programs so that everybody can operate on the same playing field, because we don't want to compromise the quality of skills development and the quality that we give to our young people to enter into the new green economy that we're going into. So we need to make sure the quality is there, but at the same time, we need collaboration so that there is space for private sector to operate. And to entrepreneurs, my key message is never stop. Just keep trying and keep failing. Fall 99 times, get up 100, and get out there. Opportunities won't come to you, but opportunities are out there, and there are many through different kind of organizations, think tanks, international, local, community, national levels. We've heard in this conversation today, there are hackathons, there are all sorts of competition. There is access to finance is now everywhere. It's not just within local banks. So reach out, connect on networks, all the networks you can find to be able to be there in the right time, right place to get the opportunities. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So try harder, and also for the government, keep the environment ready. On your side, one last keyword, Ndeye?
Yes, I will join my voice to other voices to to call government to take concrete and inclusive and incentive measure to facilitate to young people access to training, access to finance, and access to land. It's a big issue for in our country, and I think we can make change. To make change, it's important to make, I think, agriculture attractive for young people. Thank you.
Excellent. And what about you, Jean-Pierre? One key word message for policymakers, but also for young entrepreneurs.
I will echo my colleagues. To the leaders, I will tell we need to be more supportive of youth. We need to put in place supportive policies and regulatory frameworks. And we need to facilitate access to the tools that they need and financial resources that youth-led enterprises need to flourish. And to the youth, I think one message would be to ask them to be bold. Don't fear, opportunities are there. And the market, above all, the market is there. So we need to work on the skills, on capacity, and be more innovative and collaborative. That's all.
Thank you so much. So this closes the discussion panel on the future and insights on the future development of the entrepreneurship sector and during times of uncertainty. It's been a pleasure to host you, and I would like to thank again our panelists for their valuable insights. We see how collaboration needs to be enhanced, access to finance, encourage youth to be more curious and bold, making sure that there is also innovative exchanges. We've seen also presentation of case in Senegal, in Côte d'Ivoire, and also AgriHub with a key partner. And also a different approach, bringing in conflict and fragility in the question of entrepreneurship. So with all those valuable inputs, in order to close our session, I would like to invite my colleague, Nanyuma Kone, who's our Senior Regional Strategy and Partnership Officer at GDGI, to help us close this session today. Nanyuma has 10 years of experience working with NGO, multilateral organization, and government across Africa, Asia, and Europe. Please, Nanyuma, join us and help closing this session.
Thank you, Olola, and thank you, everyone. What an incredible session. I think this has been amazing, excellent moderation, and a lot of case studies showing that, yes, indeed, there are challenges, but what was the more exciting aspect is the opportunities that are existing and the emphasis that all the speakers have made in regards to the opportunities that are there in the region. But more importantly, what we've heard is that despite challenges of finance, despite challenges in terms of the limited infrastructure that is existing within the region, and this is actually hindering the progress of green entrepreneurship uptake in the continent, there are a lot of things that is being done. And the case study from GGTI, both in Senegal and Côte d'Ivoire, have shown that with resources, with building the capacity, with the know-how, it is possible for us to actually build the capacity. And more importantly, what you've had is the skills needed for entrepreneurs, especially youth entrepreneurs, to actually leapfrog in this green economic society. We've also had from Senegal and also from ACEF about the importance of actually incubation, building the foundations, starting from ideation all the way to be able to mobilize capital. And this is what we need to have in the continent and ensure that this progress is actually possible. Now, a lot of the conversation shows that the governments have actually been put on the hot seat. It means that they really need to be a lot of step up when it comes to building the enabling environment that is needed at the continental level. Here, we're talking about having financial structures that can be able to support entrepreneurs to actually move to the next level. But it's also about education. starting the education at the right level, building the capacity of entrepreneurs, even the youth, starting from tertiary education, even primary education, so that they can have the know-how and the skill to be able to not only be creative, innovative, but we also have the skill to know when to capitalize on resources, moving them from ideation successfully into investment. So I think there's so much that needs to be said again. I think next time, Olola, you need 2 hours. I think 1 hour is way, way, way too short for such an exciting topic. And this is all for myself. I mean, thank you so much, everybody. And I think we need to find a way to really come back again and discuss this in much more detail. Over to you, Olola, if you have last words. But for me, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Naima. I think I echo you on we need to continue the conversation. We have also a key eminent panelists from different organizations. And I think this is a beauty and an opportunity to maybe continue those collaboration after this session. I really would like to see maybe also more collaborative efforts among our initiative in GGGI, as you rightly put. So for today, however, unfortunately, this is the end of our session. I would like to thank all participants as well as all panelists for helping us dive into this topic. And I wish you a good end of day, evening, wherever you are, and looking forward to a continued exchange, being on clear collaboration on projects, but also on brainstorming and collaboratively thinking again on how we can solve some of these issues that are in our hearts. So thank you so much, and I wish you all a good end of week. Also, the weekend is coming. So have a good day. It was a pleasure to host you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.